Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. We are here at our NYSE CUBE studio on the East Coast. Of course, we have our West Coast in Palo Alto studio connecting Silicon Valley and Wall Street. As the world starts to expand, tech is everywhere. New York and Silicon Valley is an access point on both hubs here. For theCUBE, of course, we go to all the events. This is our Mixture of Experts series where we're bringing leaders, experts in their field, talking about what they're doing. Obviously, the AI wave, AI factories, robotics, all things data with AI is creating great, magical, new ways to compete on value. Rebecca Schwartz, co-founder of Tabs, is here, fresh off a big funding announcement. Rebecca, thank you for coming into theCUBE. Appreciate it.
Having me.
All right, so first of all, you heard my little monologue there. The AI is data-driven, domain expertise. That's kind of key indicators. We've been saying that on theCUBE for years. You guys have big news last week, funding. How much? Who's involved?
Yeah.
Give us the data.
Thanks. Exciting Series B, $55 million, led by Lightspeed with support from General Catalyst and primary venture partners. We've been very lucky to have great investor support since the beginning.
Those are big names. General Catalyst, Lightspeed. You know, they are very finicky investors. They love scale. They love, good numbers, unit economics. That's a high bar. So congratulations. Explain what you guys do. It's a very interesting story. I like the story because it fits the mold what I see as the scalable model in AI. It's not the big language models all the time that are going to be winning. There's a power law of value. Explain what you guys do.
Absolutely. We're big believers in what vertical AI is going to be able to do. So Tabs is the first AI native billing and revenue platform. We support CFOs and accounting leaders at growth stage companies, taking all of their billing and revenue processes off their plate, leveraging AI to help with ingesting B2B contracts, supporting billing and collections, and basically taking over the entire AR process to really accelerate collections. Cash is king right now, and revenue reporting and compliance are a big part of that as well.
Yeah, one of the themes that people know from theCUBE, our kind of commentary has always been, what's your moat? It's always been the question for every company. And in AI, workflows and data are huge. Okay, of course, scale.
Absolutely.
But not every company can spend $20 billion on CapEx. Yeah, they'll go to the cloud, they'll use on-prem stuff, but you're serving companies that have back office known process. Money. Okay.
Absolutely.
Money's money. Money's every day it's in someone's pocket. Take us through that, because I think you guys illustrate to me an illustration of what success looks like, because you don't have to be that big LLM. You guys nailed a vertical problem, quantifiable. So that's value.
Yeah,
Take
absolutely.
us through specifically the workflows and the problem you solve.
You're exactly right, John. So we're thinking a lot about what are the most painful workflows in the office of the CFO today that are either extremely manual, that create a lot of human error, where there's a lot of headcount needs, both in-house and outsourced, and where frankly, the burden falls to people to do really rote manual tasks. And a big piece of that is in the billing and revenue process, where companies are either delayed in sending out invoices, they're delayed in their follow-ups, they're not collecting on time, and their revenue reporting falls short because they don't have the headcount to keep up. And so the process falls by the wayside. We're big believers that this is an awesome application for AI. It's AI with a real use case in mind, which is how do we start to revolutionize the office of the CFO by bringing superpowers to finance and accounting folks who can start to do more strategic and in-depth value-added work if they're not spending time on a lot of data entry.
I'll share kind of a side anecdote for you. We had last year, this year I should say, we had an event in Palo Alto called CFO and AI. We thought, okay, hey, we'll see it's out there. More and more CFOs that I was interviewing really wanted to learn about it, but there was no event. There was no way for them to understand it. And I realized that, one, they have a lot of data and process, which you're crushing, but also they have to operate the business. And CFOs are like the architects of the business model. They have to track the money, costs, expenses, revenue, expenses, profit. And there's a lot of decisions. Do I spend CapEx? Do I do OpEx? So AI has kind of been forced on the CFO.
Yeah.
Hey, like in a big way. And like, where's the YouTube video for that? Where's the CFO AI 101? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, a big part of what we're thinking about is all of these other functional groups are coming to CFOs asking for AI investment. Engineers are using AI coding tools. Go-to-market teams are looking at AI applications, whether it's for your outbound marketing function, your BDR team, your sales function. We would talk to those same CFOs who are busy signing off on vendor contracts for other parts of their organization. You would ask them, how are they thinking about using AI? And they were behind. They were not thinking about, how is AI going to change my team's job?
Yeah.
How can I make accounting better? How can I make FP&A better? And so we're really laser focused on one specific workflow across AR and revenue that we think is a prime application for AI for CFOs who know they need to think ahead. They're building products that have AI in them at their own companies, and they need to be thinking about AI use cases themselves.
Rebecca, what use cases are you honing in on specifically?
Yeah. So we take your B2B contract. As soon as you close a deal with your customer, we extract all of the data from that contract using LLMs to create structure and organization in our system that has a good understanding of what the customer commercial relationship is. It's what we call our commercial graph. And then we support the creation of invoice calculations and revenue schedules based on that. So it used to be work that most people were doing by hand in spreadsheets. And then we facilitate the entire actual workflow around sending and collecting on those invoices to pull cash in faster.
Yeah, I mean, you are actually creating efficiencies that help them. And I was talking to a CFO a couple months ago, and the conversation went like this. Our G&A bloated from 2% to 8%.
Yeah.
And so that's where they go first to cut. We're going to trim. Not that they were growing, but because they grew their operations on the G&A side, whatever you want to call it, admin, bloated. But it was because they were growing. So you had a growth mode, and they're like, I don't get the cutting. So what it was overhead on labor.
Absolutely.
And labor that was very ephemeral. Contractors coming in, leaving, in and out. One, you had turnover, delay, errors.
Yeah, low quality of life in those roles. We see AR professionals being the biggest bucket within the accounting function. It is directly scalable as the business grows. And so you have this exponential headcount growth for more and more folks doing menial work. We talk to teams all the time with dozens of folks in billing and AR clerks who are experienced accountants who could be doing much more sophisticated work. And we can really give them more intelligence and superpowers to be able to do their jobs better.
So it's a great example. What you're doing is it keeps them lean and more productive.
Absolutely.
That's the use case of AI.
Absolutely. Especially early stage companies. At Tabs, we have folks doing hundreds of millions in revenue with a single accountant on the team who becomes the master of Tabs as a way to drive both automated workflows and AI agents to do the work that historically a team of 4 or 5, 6 would have had to do.
So good funding B round, that's a solid number, good investors. Talk about the origination. How did you get here? Like, did you wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to focus on this core problem? Or was it intentional? You say, hey, we're going to go get a small piece of the market and expand from there. What's that?
Yeah, great question. So really the thesis for the company was born around this idea that other parts of the CFO's tech stack had really emerged with really good platform technology. We had seen great players on the AP and spend side of the house. We saw Ramp, HRIS and payroll. You see companies like Rippling, where CFOs were really happy with their software choices. And when you ask them about how they're doing billing and revenue, it was point solutions, piecemeal, custom-built software, a lot of spreadsheet work, and a lot of human capital. So it really felt like a ripe opportunity to rethink how that process was happening. And we started the company right as GPT was sort of emergent, and it really felt like a perfect application for AI to think first principles about what the workflow would be.
So an easy white space to identify. Underserved,
Absolutely.
antiquated, outdated process.
Low NPS products on the market where there was an opportunity to rethink how legacy software was being built.
All right, talk about some of the momentum and numbers. We can share as much as you can. Give us a feeling for the scope of the growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're about 90 FTEs now. It's about triple since the start of the year, serving hundreds of customers. Our whole team is based right here in New York, and super excited for big revenue growth ahead.
Where's the office in New York?
So we're opening up a new AI office in Soho in a couple of weeks. Okay. So we're really excited.
Cool.
We have our entire staff, every engineer, every support person, all working out of the same office here in Manhattan.
We'll have to do a flyby and check it out.
Absolutely. Would love to have you.
All right. So what are you recruiting for? I'm sure you're getting a lot of resumes.
Yes.
What's the culture like? What kind of talent are you looking for? Take a minute to put a plug in.
Absolutely. So on the product and engineering side, making big investments in our applied AI team. It's really laser focused on all of the different AI applications within the platform. So continuing to hire really good talent there. Because we serve accounting and finance, those specialty domain areas are really important to what we do. So we're continuing to bring on actually industry practitioners, Big Four accountants or recovering Big Four accountants, whether that's in our solutions consulting function, implementation, customer success, and then marketing and sales. A lot of growth goals ahead.
So your primary target audience persona is CFOs.
CFOs and the controllers who work under them.
All right. So what does the day in the life look like for a CFO before tabs and after tabs? I got a kind of a taste of spreadsheets. Maybe just say spreadsheet hell.
Yep.
What is the alternative? What's the old way, new way picture look like?
Totally. I'll give you one example that often comes up for the CFOs that we work with. In prior state, they would have an upcoming board meeting and they would need to triangulate data on collections and cash flow forecasting, reporting on ARR or contracted ARR, GAAP revenue. And these were all coming from disparate sources. So you have data in your CRM, what the sales team thinks closed. You've got actual customer contracts. Who knows what's in those? You've got some sort of revenue reporting out of a spreadsheet. You've got cash flow forecasting in a pivot table somewhere else. And then you've got your accounting system data from,
So the data wrangling problem.
Huge issue.
A source of truth problem.
Exactly.
Of course, the sales guys, everything's closing this month. Okay, and then if it's closed, where are we is it 90 days? Everyone's, COVID, everyone went to 60, 90. Now you're seeing
what are the net terms? What's the pricing model? Yeah. Hey, do we have a usage-based pricing model? Who's tracking the usage to make that pricing model?
What about revenue recognition?
Absolutely.
So those are like, are we on an ARR? Is it
Exactly. We have an amendment. Now we're changing the contract mid-cycle. Who's tracking that? So that's the problem that Tabs is here to solve.
Does it cross-connect to compensation too? System?
Absolutely. So we push data back into the CRM so that the sales team has access to understand what's happening with the financials of the customers they support. And that plays a big role in commissions. They want to know, did the invoice go out? Has it been paid? Because that impacts how they get paid.
One of the things that comes up with CFOs with AI and other examples we've highlighted on theCUBE is once they discover it, it opens up new windows of opportunity. For example, they go, wow, if I do this, then they can do something. Once you're in the game, when I think about cash flow, I think about, for me, enterprise value.
Absolutely.
Enterprise value is completely based on cash flow. So if I want to go and do a financing, I want to do a discounted cash flow, I got to have accurate numbers. I'm just making this up, but I'm riffing on, but you get the idea. So I'd never know that if I don't have a source of truth.
Absolutely. And what is the insights-driven cash flow forecast for if I send these invoices on time and I get paid on time, what is the forecast I can expect? And then by the same token, if I don't get paid on time, how do I understand this customer's typical payment behavior so I have a more accurate picture of when that cash is going to come in the door?
All right, if I ask 10 of your customers, 10 out of 10 CFOs recommend tabs, what would they say? What would be some anecdotal comments?
Yeah.
We can't live without tabs. Well, give us a taste of the excitement level.
They would say we have the most flexible revenue system that can handle any pricing model or flexible architecture that their sales team comes up with in contracts. What that allows is for them to have the most accurate billing and revenue system and drive really, really cohesive reporting.
How's been the second order of magnitude effects been on the sales side? Because all the go-to-market strategies any company will have is sometimes complicated, but it depends on the company, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. What's the go-to-market side impact there? What's been some of the results there?
Yeah. We hear all the time that finance teams want to be the team of yes for their commercial teams. And when their systems don't allow flexibility, they don't have the tools to say yes that they want to have. And so what this really unlocks is experimentation and pricing model. Everyone's exploring usage and consumption models, especially in AI right now. So we're driving new types of pricing. And I think in that, CFOs are sort of being asked.
They're more team players.
Yes.
They're liked more.
Absolutely. And
there's always been tension between sales and CFOs. I mean, I was at many companies where it's like, why is they're in different buildings than sales? Because
right.
they speak different languages, but here you bring them together.
Absolutely. And in this moment of pricing model evolution, they need to be working on the same team. And we're giving the CFOs the toolkit to help be team players with their sales team.
Well, that's consistent with our CFO event we had, because one of the things that came up was AI is impacting our business model. And they've always been, what's the CFO do for the business for the AI, like buying, procuring, to what's AI do for the CFO? So you've kind of flipped it.
Yeah, I would say it's both. We are AI native in our approach at Tabs to delivering software, but we are also serving CFOs who are thinking deeply about AI in their own business models as well.
Okay, so final question, Rebecca. What's on your to-do list? Obviously, you get the product initiatives. What are you working on? What are some of the growth initiatives, product, new features? What are some of the things you guys are thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Twofold, really. Continuing to harden our platform. We are going deeper and deeper in functionality areas where folks are pushing us for more customization. We're going up market quite a bit, serving larger and larger customers who come with their own flavors of how they want the software to work. So we're continuing to invest in more and more customizability and configurability of the software.
Like integration deals?
Integrations, more integrations and more flexibility in how those get set up so that we can create really the rail tracks for AI to do its job across a wider and wider surface area. Yeah. So typical plugins for us, your CRM, your ERP, your tax system, payments providers, BI tools, FP&A tools. So we really want to plug into the broadest possible surface area.
Okay, one more question because it just popped in my head. You mentioned about a graph. What was it called?
Commercial graph.
Commercial graph. Explain what a commercial graph is.
Yes. So if you think about every data input around the customer's financial relationship with you, whether that's your contract with them, your CRM data, invoices, revenue data, actual cash receipts, usage data is becoming a really big part of that as well, to understand their variable usage and consumption of your platform and how that translates into financials. We are parsing that all together and creating a really organized and holistic view of each individual customer so that it is no longer CSI to figure out how is this being managed across multiple pieces of software.
And you're actually putting that in a graph database.
Absolutely.
All
and
right.
That's where a lot of our AI generates so that we can drive better and better insights.
And AI loves graphs.
Loves.
Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on theCUBE. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Highlighting. Domain expertise, targeted, intentional use cases really are the key to success in this market. There's white space opportunities everywhere. And of course, once you land, you can expand. Of course, we're doing our best to land and expand here in theCUBE. I'm John Furrier, your host. Thanks for watching.